back to a very important part of our presentation. In fact, we've saved the best till last. Now, this is a very intense treatment. It takes a fair bit of equipment. It takes 2 trained therapists to apply it. But you know what? Cancer's a serious condition. And so to conquer cancer, you need to take some serious steps. So this might seem like a bit of work, but the beauty of this cancer treatment is there are no side effects. Your hair won't fall out and your fingernails won't go black. And it is being filmed, and it was very difficult for me to get this treatment, and I am happy to share it because it is not mine to keep. And we have seen some incredible turnarounds with doing this treatment. Now, Joshua has agreed for me to wrap him, even after doing those compresses on his chest yesterday. And while he's wrapped up in the wrap, I will be able to talk a little bit more about it. There are times in the demonstration of this treatment where I'm going to have to move very fast. And there are times when we can slow down. And if I'm unable to explain everything as we go, I definitely, while Josh was wrapped up, can enhance on it there, and we can also take questions. Now, the recipe is 2 kilos of sodium bicarbonate. And it's about 1/3 of a cup of lemon juice and 5 litres of boiling water. It must be boiling because it cools so quickly. And you will see how I apply this treatment that we are not going to burn Joshua. So I don't know if you can see, you might like to stand up or come a little bit closer, but I'm going to mix this now. I've got the 2 kilos of sodium bicarb in the water, in the bucket, and it's just sodium bicarbonate that you buy from the supermarket. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put 1 litre into the bucket. And I'm going to stir it. Anyone who wants to sit on the front row can just chuck all that stuff in that basket there. And then we're going to put the lemon juice in. And when you put the lemon juice in, it speeds it up a little bit more. And then we're going to put the rest in. Don't put it all in at once because it might foam right up. There it comes. This is a great treatment to do on this cold, windy day. So I mix it a bit more, and then I put see what happens when you put it in too fast? Settle down, mix. There we are, it's settling down now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my first towel in. And the best way to fold them is like this, and you'll see why. So you dip it in and you swish it around a bit. So you've got a good mix, and then you squeeze it. Now you don't want just your average gloves for this because it's boiling water. Now, as I showed you last night, all screwed up, it'll hold its heat. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this over here. Joshua's going to come up, and when he tells me he can bear the heat, he will get on it. He will put his arms up, and I'll be wrapping it around his torso, And then Reen, my helper, will be covering it with this woolen blanket, which will hold its heat. So Reen, if you could come up, because we're going to move fast. If you could come up, please, Joshua. And when Joshua's here ready, if you could just take your shirt off. Some people can handle the heat more than others. So you just tell me when you can handle that heat. How's that? It'll cool quickly.
Bit cool.
In fact, you'll be right. You'll be right on that. Okay. Okay, that's good. Arms up, arms up. It cools very quickly. Okay, and we'll put that on. Okay. Other way around, like that. And it's very important, arms down. How's that?
Yeah, nice.
Now, nice. Arms up a bit. Very important that no air get to any, because that'll cool it. Now, did you see what he said? Nice. Do you know, some people, they can't bear it, they can't bear it. Some people, straight on it. So different people can handle different temperatures. See, we're relaxed now. Now, what I'm going to do now is wrap the leg. So we move fast to keep it warm. And we're going to wrap one leg, and Reen is going to put a garbage bag on that leg. Then we're going to wrap the other leg, same thing. Then the arm, then the arm. So his whole body is going to be touching the sodium bicarbonate hot towels. So now I'll do the other one. Swish it around, because the sodium bicarbonate tends to sink to the bottom of the bucket. I went into the supermarket this morning and these gloves said heavy duty cleaning. So this one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch Joshua's leg, and he'll tell me when he can bear the heat, okay? And I'll just move this up a bit, and if you could just put your, we had a practice run this morning. Okay, put your left leg up, maybe not so high. And you tell me when you can handle the heat. Yep. Now, very important that you wrap that round, okay? And that comes right underneath. Pull it right underneath. Okay, down. And then we wrap this around. Up. That goes down. And then we wrap this blanket up round in here. Now you can relax. Nice? Nice. He's smiling more than he smiled yesterday. I will do the other leg. You see what I mean? You don't want your great big thick towels. You want the old thin towels. If the towels are too thick, they take up too much room and you've got lumps of wet towel here and there, and it takes up too much of your water. So I think I can do this facing you. So we're going to do this again. Just let me cool it a little. Okay, you tell me. But it cools very quickly. That's fine. And this is also a thicker towel. A thicker towel holds the heat a bit more. So now this side of the blanket goes over. Okay. This blanket comes up, and to help keep the warmth in, you got another garbage bag? Yeah. You need another one. Oh, that's really good. You're better with my gloves. Other end. So what we do to keep the feet warm is put the feet in Okay. Warm. Now we're going to do the arms. And before I do the arms, I'm just going to explain to Joshua, your arm will come up like that, and I'll wrap the arm. And then I'll get Joshua to put his shoulder up, and I'm going to poke the hot towel down under him, and then he'll come back. Because at the moment, his torso is covered with the hot towel up to about here. So with this towel, I can put one corner down and take up the rest of his shoulder. Now when you're doing a wrap on a lady with breast cancer, one corner will go up there and the other corner will go in and over, so she's well covered there. We get nice and warm during this treatment too. Now what I usually do, this looks like a sad old towel, but it's the best. I let the towel just sit there, that'll stay warm. And if you put your hand out straight and you tell me, too hot, let's do a little dance and try again. You can't heat it up, but you can cool it down.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine, okay. Amen. Okay, arm down. And now shoulder up. Yep, right up. Now you tell me, how's that?
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine. And pull this up and right, up and around. Good, good, good. Down. That's right. And then this can go on the chest. And again, you must never let any of the... Can you do that one? Yeah. Make sure you can't have any towel.
Yeah.
No towel exposed. Any towel exposed, the air will get to it and it'll get cold. Now, no one likes wool on their face, so we sort of pull this back a bit. Must keep the patient happy. So now we do our last one, and I might have to have my back to you while I do this. You swish everyone around so you get as much sodium bicarb in the towel as possible. Sorry, I'm going to have to go here. Now this last one, it usually not as hot. Okay, arm up, and you tell me.
Too hot.
Too hot. Bit more of a dance.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine. Make sure it's wrapped right around the arm. At this point, I get these off. And we can put that right under there. This goes right under. Okay, down. And then this one goes right down the front. And then this blanket goes over, and then we get the other blanket. I'll put this one first, then that one at the top. And usually put a hand towel underneath, so put your head up, so that it's not nice, the prickly wool. So you can just put a little towel there to protect against the wool. And you want to make sure the person doesn't feel like all this is going to fall on top of them. And this is a microfiber cloth, and they're really good at keeping the heat in, but it would be no good against the wet, because as soon as that gets wet, it chills. Are you warm? He's warm. Now for someone who can't hold their heat well, I'll put a big doona on top. No more blankets, those lovely woolen blankets that might feel like they're crushing him. And then I always pray. So we're going to pray, we're going to pretend, and Joshua doesn't, but we're going to pretend that Joshua might have a form of cancer. Father in heaven, thank you so much for Joshua. Thank you so much for bringing him here. Thank you for the knowledge of the bicarb wraps. I pray your healing power will go through this treatment and make it impossible for cancer to survive. And I pray it in Jesus' name. Amen. Do you know, even people who don't believe in God are very happy for me to pray for them. So, it takes a little bit of work, but how long did that take? 10 minutes? It's just a bit of prep. So don't throw away your old thin towels. They're perfect for this sort of thing. And you usually leave the person here now for 1 hour. So what is happening is the sodium bicarb is infiltrating in through the skin. It's coming into the tissues and it's causing a very alkaline environment to be created in this whole body. Now at the same time, Joshua has stopped, this is hypothetical, Joshua has stopped all fruit. He's not having many carbohydrates. He's having lots of vegetables, lots of legumes, seeds, nuts. We're giving him a litre of green water to drink through the day. He's having some maybe olive leaf and grapefruit seed extract, herbs to knock back the yeast in his body. He's having one of these one day and then a hyperbaric chamber treatment the next day. He's having steam baths every night. Can you see how we're hitting this from many different sides? So we will usually leave Joshua here for 1 hour and the staff check on him every 15 minutes. And most people fall asleep because it's like that wet sheet pack. It's moist, it's warm, the muscles relax. And every 15 minutes the staff will come in and say, do you need a little water? Do you need a bit of cool on your head? Tending like that. I say to the guest, if you hear the door open and you're half asleep, just keep your eyes closed because the staff will see your eyes closed and go straight back out. But if you need your nose scratched or your forehead scratched, or a little water, we can do that. So this is the treatment that we can offer at Misty Mountain. I had a lady come and she had 5 wraps. She did everything that I just explained. She had breast cancer. It was a small lump in her breast. They wanted to cut it out and also do chemo and radiotherapy, but she chose this instead. She was late 50s. She continued to do the program. After 6 weeks, she started to eat a little bit of sourdough spelt bread then. She started to eat some Granny Smith apples and grapefruit. She slowly eased a bit of fruit back in. And then she actually rang me 8 months later. She said, Barbara, I've just had a test from the doctor and I don't understand it. I said, read it to me. She read it to me. I said, Elaine, your cancer's gone. It's gone. Isn't it funny, all that language? How often would you do this? Elaine stayed for 2 weeks and we do either 5 wraps in 1 week or 3 wraps and 2 hyperbaric chambers. When Elaine came, we did not have the hyperbaric chamber treatment. So some people would prefer to have a wrap every day, so that's 5 days a week, or they might prefer to have the wrap, hyperbaric next day, wrap the next day. Sometimes people... Okay, Joshua, how are you feeling?
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable. So that's what we say. We have it with Joshua, but where are your knees? Are they knees?
Yeah.
They're knees. We often put a little pillow under the knee, so we get the person very, very comfortable. They must be comfortable to be able to lie like this. But it is actually very nice. But can you see how it is a specialised treatment in that you have to know what you're doing? Because if we didn't move fast and those towels got cold, they would be very uncomfortable. And that's why we use the garbage bags. They're not actually touching the skin. They're just keeping all the warmth in. And he's got 2 woolen blankets under him, and I'm thanked to honour. I just love this really thick, thick woolen blanket. It just keeps that warmth in. So you have to have wool to do this treatment. The only other thing you could do is wrap the whole body in plastic, but you know, wool's nicer because it does breathe a little bit. And that's what some people do, is they'll put plastic over that as well. But these blankets are so thick and good that that's all that you really need. Yes?
You said about sodium goes into the body tissues.
Hmm.
So I forgot. What does it do? What's it doing?
Alkalize. You see, in the stomach lining, there's sodium bicarbonate. And the sodium bicarbonate is the stomach lining, so that if any stomach acid goes through, it neutralizes it. And your pancreas releases sodium bicarbonate, because as the stomach acid and food comes out of the stomach into the duodenum is an alkaline environment, and it needs to be alkaline for the other enzymes to work, as you'll see tonight. And so the pancreas releases sodium bicarbonate to neutralize that. Sodium bicarbonate is a natural substance. Some people say, well, can't I just drink sodium bicarbonate? All you would do is neutralize your stomach acid, and you need the stomach acid to break down the food. But to get it into the tissues, you do this. Or the other thing that neutralizes and alkalizes the tissues is green drinks. So we also are giving green drinks. So basically I say to people, cancer hasn't got a hope in your body once you do all this. On Saturday morning, I'll discuss one more aspect, and that is the mental aspect. If we're doing all this to someone and they're angry and bitter and are harbouring unforgiveness in their heart, this isn't going to do a lot. So the mind is an important thing to do. So you see, it's the whole picture. I had a lady, we'd wrapped her up, she had breast cancer, and we left her for 15 minutes, and we left the door open, and the wind shut the door. And she started to get very afraid and very anxious. And I had two staff members checking her, and one thought that they'd checked her and the other thought the other checked her. So she went over half an hour, actually 3/4 of an hour with anyone coming in. And when they came in, she was quite beside herself. So we quickly dealt with that, and we just quickly got her out, and we just said, we'll just give you another one on the house because you shouldn't have been left. Most people are fine, most people just fall asleep. But these two staff members misunderstood. They thought... Anyway, she talked to me later and she said, it's really interesting, because she said, I am not like that. I don't get anxious and I don't get stressed. So I laid there analysing, why am I freaking out here? And she said, when I was a little girl, my father used to beat up my mother. And she said, one day I was so hating the noise of the mother being beaten up that she ran into a bedroom, got into a cupboard and shut the door, and she could not open the door. And it was a long time before anyone found her. So she said, I realised that when that door shut, all these emotions came up from when she was a little girl. She said, you know what? I can have a wrap now and you can leave me for an hour. I'm okay. I analysed it. I worked out what it was. So as soon as she knew what it was, she thought, oh, that old thing. Interesting. One lady, I wrapped her up and she said, I can't stay in here. I said, why not? I can't move. I said, you can. Have you noticed that everything's wrapped separately? So if Joshua wanted, he could move his arms down there, he could move his arms up there, you can move. I said, you can. And everything she put to me, I said, it's all right. It did. I'm getting claustrophobia. I said, your sister's here. She'll be with you the whole time. So every fear she brought up, I was able to negate it. And then I said, by the way, why are you doing this? She looked at me. For my kids and my husband. I said, good. Anyway, her sister was there and she stayed the hour. The next day, about 10 minutes before I had to do the wrap, I said, are you ready for your wrap? She said, no. She said, do I have to have it? I said, no. And there was this bit of a battle, not a battle, but we were, and I stood there and I said, let us know. I mean, there's a lot of prep for this. She said, all right. And she was perfectly fine. In fact, the third rap, she just jumped in and everything was perfectly fine. You know, and that's what I'll talk about tomorrow. Sometimes the things that we think are the most fearsome are actually not fearsome. Are not fearsome. Sometimes it's our thoughts. But most people look forward to this because nice? Yeah, it's much better than that stuff yesterday, eh? See, with that hot and that cold. But this is actually a very pleasant treatment. Yes?
What does the hyperbaric do?
What does the hyperbaric do?
Yeah, does it oxygen through into the skin?
It's actually inhaling it and some into the skin. Henry's law, it is a basic scientific law. Henry's law states that under pressure, more liquid will more back. Henry's law states that more gas will go into liquid under pressure. That's Henry's law.
That's right.
And in a hyperbaric chamber, pressure is built up, and so the gas is oxygen, and we're pumping in pure oxygen.
Oh, it's not air, it's oxygen.
We're pumping in oxygen. You've got pressure and oxygen's been pumped in, and the liquid, of course, is blood. Now, do you remember, I've done this a couple of times in the lectures, so I'll recap because I know that I'm guilty of information overload. There's the cell. Remember, the glucose goes in and there's a 20-step pathway, and this 20-step pathway gives us 2 units of energy, and the end result of that pathway is pyruvate. And pyruvate gets fed into the 8-step pathway, and the 8-step pathway gives us 36 units of energy. Now, every single cell in the body runs on energy. What makes the difference is oxygen. There's no oxygen up here. In fact, this pathway produces energy by the process of fermentation. This is where cancer cells run. So if you pump the body full of oxygen, you're actually forcing cancer cells to get down to there. And these cells, remember what they consume? 15 times the glucose, because this cell here is a very fast cell. This cell is a very slow cell, or pathway. That explains it. They developed hyperbaric chambers for divers. They've got the bends, because air is 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen with about a 0.3 of a carbon dioxide. And when they come up too quickly, the nitrogen can't all be released and it goes into little bubbles in the joints, and that's the bends. And when they go into a hyperbaric chamber, because they pump that oxygen in, basically the nitrogen just dissipates and is breathed out. And they discovered that wound healing, healing of any sort, increases when oxygen increases. So that's a
The person that we actually did that on, we just have to, they then have to be doing a diet.
That's right. If you're going to go to all this effort, basically, if I had a friend and I lived here and I was a housewife or I worked, and I had a friend that had cancer and I'd heard about this, and I'd get a couple of friends together and say, I think we can do this. So we'll say to our friend, we're willing to go to all this effort to do these treatments on you, but you've got to play your part. And if the lady says, oh no, I like my sugar, I'd say, okay, that's it. It's a choice. But if you've got a friend who's, she said, I'm going to do this, the effort she puts in, encourages you to put this effort in. Not necessarily. You could do it the day after she started. This gives a mighty boost to the healing in the body. It can actually tip the scales. I think I told you about the man who owned the strawberry farm, prostate cancer. He was here for 2 weeks. His wife and daughter were gung-ho and he was just all right. Well, we did 5 of these. 1 week, 5 the next week. They didn't do it when they go home because it's not an easy treatment to do, as you can see. But the 2 weeks at our health retreat gave it a mighty kick start, and then he continued all the other bits and pieces. So it's not that you do it every day. Dr. Tullio Simoncini wrote the book Cancer is a Fungus, and he injects the sodium bicarb straight in. Well, we can't do that, and we don't do that, but we can do this. So it's part of the treatment, yeah?
What if they were using chemotherapy? Would that be helpful?
if they were using chemotherapy, it would almost be a waste to do this. It's like cutting the skin and just keep putting a Band-Aid on, cutting it. You wait till they're finished, and if they, ideally they don't, but I understand when some people choose to, but basically you want that gone, and then you want everything else in place, and then this can be an additive, yeah?
What if they were to have, could you put them in a bath with
Yes, I've often been asked that. If you will notice, and you can have a look in the bucket now, there'll be a bit in the bottom, and every time I put the towels in I had to swish, 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 because it just all falls to the bottom. So if you were to have a bath, you'd have to go like this the whole time. It doesn't quite do what, you see all the towels. And what you've also got is you've got a bit of steam happening here, and the steam's also causing it to penetrate in, yeah?
just a big question? So just class as individuals that try and get that pH level balanced, would bicarbonate in a bath, or having in a bath for us to be good for us?
Yeah, you could certainly try it. You'd put about 2 kilos in, and you can go to the produce store and buy 20 kilo bags. And we didn't really have time to do that, so we just bought a whole lot of little packets. I think they're 500 gram packets. So we put 4.5 packets into that bucket. Now, Joshua's eyes are open now, but a few minutes ago they were closed. I think he feels they're fully asleep. Okay, so we're going to unwrap Joshua now. Sorry, we can't leave you here.
It's about an hour and then
1 hour.
you should still be warm.
Oh yes. In fact, what I find and what people tell me is the warmth can sort of go like this. Get very hot and then ease a bit. Are you as warm as you were when we first wrapped you? Yeah. He's as warm now as he was when we first wrapped. This is, I tell you, I'd like to have this great big thick blanket at my health retreat. It looks like it's been washed in a hot wash and it's gone all tight. They're the best. Don't throw this out on her. And don't let anyone take this, okay? And if any of your grandchildren aren't interested, the church will be interested. It's a very good one. So you want good equipment.
How often do you have to wash all the blankets? Like, would you use the same ones for the same?
Okay, that's a good question. This outside blanket, there's no need to wash. The ones that are touching his skin, absolutely we wash, because not only is the bicarb infiltrating or going into his body, but he's also perspiring, so some waste is going to come out. So you definitely want to wash those blankets.
Each treatment, or would you
Yep.
like just
Oh no, because we want that waste out. Otherwise, next treatment, his skin will absorb the waste again. So you have to be very careful how you take this out, because you don't want your guest to chill. So I've got a few towels here we can wrap Joshua in. I'll just get a couple here. What we have at Misty Mountain is we have robes, and so you take one out and cover it. Take one out, cover it, and then as soon as they get up, you quickly put the bathrobe around them. Would you mind giving me that basket empty? Thank you. Yeah. So as soon as that's off, you cover that with the blanket so he doesn't chill. Thanks very much. The bags we use again. Quickly cover, see? So that he doesn't chill.
Excuse me, Barbara, so do you do that once? Like say you're going to do it in the day, so you just do it once?
Just once, yeah. Did I miss? And so, one more. don't want him to chill, so I quickly put the towel around him. There. I'll get you another towel. I've got another towel here that you can put around you. Okay, put that one around your waist. Got it? Yep. We really look after our patients there. Now what, the best thing, Joshua will not be able to do it because there's no shower here, but the best thing now, and thank you very much, Joshua. Now the best thing now for Joshua, we get our guests to go into a warm shower, not hot, not cold, and they get a face cloth and they rub. They rub over their whole body. We're going home now, so Joshua can do that when we get home. And then get dressed. Now some guests will lay down and have a sleep. Some of them have slept the whole time in here, so they don't feel like a sleep. It's basically whatever they feel like doing. So that's so like the hydrotherapy treatments, it's a bit of effort, but it's well worth it. And as long as you've got all your equipment, it's basically not that long. So this blanket here, I will wash. Can you see the damps come through? And that damp will be some sodium bicarb, and that damp will also be some of his perspiration. So you wash that one, but usually this outer one you can just air. So thank you for your attention. Time is up, and look forward to seeing you here tonight. And it doesn't look like there's as much room as in the other place, but I'm told that this seats 160 people, so we will have enough room. So look forward to seeing you tonight when we begin our journey on travelling through the gastrointestinal tract. First lecture I'm going to have a look at what happens all the way through it, and then the second lecture I'm going to go through it again, but how you can heal it at every stage. So I look forward to seeing you tonight. Thank you.